You are listening to an After Dinner Conversation magazine podcast. After Dinner Conversation believes humanity is improved by ethics and morals grounded in philosophical truth, and that truth is discovered through intentional reflection and respectful debate. In order to facilitate this process, we have created a growing series of print books, a monthly short story magazine, and 2 different podcasts. This podcast, Philosophy, Ethics, Short Story Audiobooks, provides readings of stories that have appeared in our magazine, and we discuss them in our companion podcast, Philosophy, Ethics, Short Story Discussions. We hope you'll continue the discussion with friends, family, and students, or head over to the comments section on our website or Facebook page. And please subscribe to our podcast, share it on social media, and suggest it to friends. Thank you for supporting us through your magazine subscriptions and through patreon.com. Links are in the description. I'm Tina Forsey, an acquisition editor at After Dinner Conversation. This story is written by Jay Allisan and was published in our July 2021 magazine. Black or White. He's on the shitter the first time I see him, pants around his ankles, shirt tail hanging between his legs, eyes shut, and mouth corkscrewed with effort. The guard admits me to the cell and locks it again once I'm inside. Before I can say a word, the prisoner hollers, "Hang on, fellas! Here it comes!" And what follows is a rambunctious round of flatulence and defecation that makes me grimace. When it's over, he cracks open one eye. "They never let me have cheese," he says, "on account of what it does to my guts." Another blast echoes inside the toilet. His face is red and strained, but he's grinning now. I count 5 teeth, 2 of which are rotten. "You must be Mr. Morley," I say. "Ain't nobody called me that. Call me Fuzzy. You must be the doc." His left hand is shackled to the bar beside him. He sticks out the other. In light of where he's sitting, I decline the gesture. He just shrugs and scratches his behind. "Sorry to get you down here in the middle of the night," Fuzzy says. "I told him it's only the cheese. Doc Yardley knows all about it." Fuzzy's head is as glassy as a contact lens. Shapeless tattoos adorn his arms. His chest is sunken, but his belly is round. He's 71, though that seems like an underestimation. He shifts to the left as he passes gas, his toes curling. "Yes, I've had a quick look at your file," I answer. "How long ago was your meal?" "Couple hours. Still got a ways to go. I only been sitting here for half that, give or take. Yep, still got a long ways to go. Doc Yardley knows all about it." It's nearing midnight. I left my wife and infant daughter at home. The forecast calls for heavy rain, and our new property lies at the end of a dirt road. At this point, there's not much I can do. To be called out at all for lactose intolerance is profoundly irritating. Best just to get this over with. I lay my bag on the cot and find some quick dissolve loperamide. I pop 2 pills from the foil and give them to Fuzzy. "I expect it's too late for these. You'll just have to ride it out. Be sure to keep hydrated." Fuzzy gives me his gummy grin. "I appreciate that, Doc. It's not so bad. Worth it if you ask me." He farts loudly. I return the medicine to my bag. Fuzzy says, "Boy, I love cheese. You like cheese, Doc?" I close my bag and indicate for the guard to open the door. "Sure." "Didn't always do me like this, you know. I remember going into a house once and there being a big block of cheese just sitting there in the fridge, and without even meaning to, I just took a bite of it. Mo found me there munching away, and he said that the police had ways of finding you based on your teeth prints. He said I had to take it with me or else I could get caught. So I took it and I ate the whole thing. It was better than winning the lottery. Of course, that's why I never went to the dentist," Fuzzy says. "Didn't want to get no teeth prints. Mo said if I'd just not eat stuff when we was doing a job, then it wouldn't be a problem. But I couldn't help it. All them electronics meant nothing to me. I just wanted to see what's in the fridge. He looked out for me, you know. I don't care what no one says. He were the best big brother a kid could ask for. Always let me tag along. He was the one who took me for ice cream on my birthday, and he was the one who gave me my bicycle. He said it were from him and Mama, but I knew it were really from him. He just didn't want Mama to feel bad. She'd cry sometimes 'cause she'd get sad she couldn't give us bicycles or new shoes, but Mo, he'd cheer her right up. He could do voices, like characters. Mama always liked him to do Donald Duck. My favorite was Woody the Woodpecker. That laugh, boy, that cracked me up. That was Mo. Always good for a laugh. Hey, Doc, you mind getting me a drink? I got a cup there sitting on the sink, but I don't want to get up. He grins toothlessly. I'm poised at the open door, but he's grinning at me, and it was my own recommendation. One moment, I say to the guard. There's a stainless steel cup on the stainless steel sink atop the stainless steel toilet tank, behind and above Fuzzy's head. I'm forced to stand beside the toilet while the cup fills. The smell is obnoxious. Thanks, Doc. I sure appreciate it, he says when I hand him the cup, and once again I prepare to leave. Fuzzy's digestive tract rumbles thunderously, and what follows is the single longest fart I've ever heard, followed by what could be urination. Fuzzy presses a hand to his side, sweating. Oh, boy. Next time they let me pick my meal, you remind me about tonight, Ralph. Don't let me order no cheese. I think your problem was the cheesecake, Fuzzy, the guard answers. Shouldn't have eaten so much. What do they call it? White berry something? White chocolate raspberry, Ralph says. White chocolate raspberry explosion. Fuzzy hoots. You're kidding. Explosion? Boy, ain't that the truth. Real good, though. Haven't had cheesecake in years. You like cheesecake, Doc? I remove my glasses and pinch the bridge of my nose. I should have left sooner, as soon as I gave him the loperamide. If I'd left then, I wouldn't have heard Fuzzy's latest outburst. I could have gone home with a clear conscience. I set my medical bag back on the cot and unlatch it. I'll need a gallon jug filled with water, I tell Ralph, and please bring salt and sugar. The cell door clangs shut and Ralph departs. I search through my bag for a thermometer, which I place under Fuzzy's tongue. He talks out the other side of his mouth. What's going on, Doc? What's this all about? Doc Yardley ain't never bothered with nothing like this. It's only precautionary, I answered. Nothing to worry about. I need you to stand up. I don't think that's a good idea, Doc. Just as like to shit if I'm standing. I pull on gloves. It's only for a moment. Stand, please. Quickly. He bunches his shirt tail in his hand and rises on shaky legs. I see what I need to see in the toilet, then flush the putrid mess. Turn, I say, and Fuzzy presents me with his backside. He yelps when I prod him. Done, I say. You can sit down now. He sits, farting promptly. I remove my gloves and take back the thermometer. Fuzzy's watching me, his chest heaving. Is it bad, Doc? Just give it to me straight. I can take it. Just give it to me straight. It's nothing to worry about. You're only dehydrated. Then what was with a finger up my simply precautionary? There's nothing to worry about. Ralph returns with the water and packets of salt and sugar. I mix a rehydration solution and give the jug a shake. Behind me, Fuzzy mutters to himself. Doc Yardley never stuck a finger up my ass. Why couldn't Doc Yardley? My finger did not go up your ass, I say curtly. You've been a prisoner for 54 years. I expect you would know the difference. As for Dr. Yardley, we both would have had a better evening had he not been unavailable. But as it is, we're stuck with one another. Drink this. I hand him the jug. He pokes his tongue through the opening, licking the rim. He makes a face. Tastes like salt. I ain't gonna drink this. You have to. Well, I ain't gonna. I seat myself on the edge of the cot, lean forward, and narrow my eyes. Then I'll be forced to give you an IV. He looks at me blankly. It's a needle, Fuzz, says Ralph, and now he understands, and the flatulence begins in earnest as he writhes on his seat. No way, Doc. I ain't gonna get no needle. You ain't coming anywhere near me with no needle. No way, no how. You just keep away from me or else I'm gonna, He slumps forward. I catch him before he can slide off the toilet and push his head between his knees. I curse under my breath. How'd you know he hates needles? Ralph asks. His expression is irritatingly amused. In his file, Dr. Yardley failed to mention the mere thought would make him faint. I curse again as Fuzzy starts to come around, catches a whiff of his own fumes, and retches all over his feet. I should have left after I gave him the loperamide. Towels, I say to Ralph, kneading my brow, bucket, disinfectant, and plenty of hot water. Having thoroughly cleaned himself up, Fuzzy manages to remain upright as the cacophony inside the toilet continues. He sips the rehydration solution. Ralph convinced him it was better than the alternative. "Still tastes like salt," he mutters, then belches. "Don't this come in other flavors?" "No." I need to see at least half the jug make it down Fuzzy's throat before I can, in good conscience, leave. He's hardly made a dent. The night is creeping on toward 1 o'clock. Fuzzy takes a sip, making a face. "It's like drinking from the ocean. Mo always told me never to drink from the ocean. Why you making me do this, Doc? This ain't no good for me." "Just drink it," I say, rubbing my hand over my face. "I haven't got the energy to explain it to you." He sends me a hurt look. "Mo always explained things to me, even if I didn't understand. He'd say it so I could. Taught me about all sorts of things, like how to clean a fish, or fix it flat on a tire, or what to say when them men came around looking for Mama. I remember he'd always check my spelling homework before I'd go to bed. He must not have been much better at spelling than me, 'cause I never got better than a C+. But he checked it all the time, always trying to help me out." Fuzzy sips from his jug. "I don't suppose you was ever a big brother, Doc." I give him a lean smile. "Fuzzy, would you like to hear about the transport of sodium through the phospholipid bilayers of the cell wall and the osmotic flow of water from a solution of high concentration to one of low concentration?" "You know, Doc, you sound like Bad Jack when you say stuff like that. Like nobody knows anything except for you. He was always making the rest of us feel stupid. Not even Mo knew what he was saying sometimes, but Bad Jack, he read all kinds of books. Books about history and art and stuff I never even heard of, like astral projection. I asked him once about it, and even though he talked at me all afternoon, I still don't know what it is. All I know is the words, astral projection. Mo said it's a bunch of hooey, but not to say that to Bad Jack. He said if Bad Jack ever gave me some mushrooms, no matter what, not to eat 'em. You had to watch out with Bad Jack sometimes. Of course, back then, we called him Black Jack. At least till he made up his mind he didn't like that no more. Thought it was racist. I said to him, how can it be racist if you really are Black Jack? And he hit me so hard he knocked out 3 of my teeth, right here. Fuzzy points to an empty spot in his decidedly empty mouth. He makes a face as he passes gas, takes a sip from the jug, and makes a face again. Bad Jack was the idea man, Fuzzy says. He's the one who'd say, here's where we're gonna go, and here's what we're gonna take. The rest of us was just muscle. Except for Mo. Bad Jack would talk with him sometimes, just the 2 of them. I figure Mo probably has some good ideas, too, but Bad Jack said they were just his. It was Mo's idea to make me a lookout, I remember that. I was too small at first to be much good for carrying TVs, but Mo said to Bad Jack that I could spot the hairs on a toad from 100 feet away, and I could whistle besides. If anyone was coming, I'd go like this. Fuzzy fills his lungs, puckers his lips, and proceeds to spew saliva all over my face. Ralph hands me a fresh towel through the bars. Fuzzy gives an embarrassed grin. Sorry, Doc. Guess my whistle's not what it used to be. Probably 'cause I ain't got the right teeth. Just keep drinking, I mutter, and Fuzzy takes an obliging gulp. He gags, but he keeps it down. I was a good tree climber, too, he says. Could be up and down lickety-split. We was in a pinch once 'cause there was a neighbor across the street. He was walking back and forth in front of his window, watching the house, and I was up in the tree watching him. And when I saw him going for the phone, I gave the whistle. Zipped out of the tree and was across the street faster than you could say, meep, meep. He grins at me expectantly. That's a road runner, he says when I don't respond. His grin falters. Mo could do it better. I pinch the bridge of my nose with a sigh. Fuzzy farts, looking dejected. His rehydration jug is still 3/4 full. From outside the cell, Ralph says, "So what'd you do then, Fuzz, with the neighbor across the street?" For a moment I think he's not going to answer, but then he mumbles something under his breath. Ralph puts a hand to his ear. "I can't hear you from over there. Say again?" "I threw a brick through his window," Fuzzy bellows, and now he's grinning again, gleeful as a child. "Right through the front window, the best strike I ever threw. Got the whole plate." He slaps his knee, hooting. "When he came running to the door, I shouted, 'Go back to where you came from, you damn commie!' And then I ran away." "I don't think he was a commie," Fuzzy says, "but I just thought it was a fun thing to say." "That was the first time Bad Jack said something nice to me, 'cause they got away clean, they did, with the TV and a stereo besides, all 'cause of my diversion." He puffs his chest up proudly. "Have a drink," I tell him, shaking my head. He takes a small swallow and burps. "Bad Jack told me I did good. Said I was a real member of the gang now, the Domino Gang. Bad Jack said the name come from some Chinese army or something. I thought it was 'cause we was black and white. There was 4 of us, Bad Jack, Mo, me, and Tyrone. Me and Mo was white, of course, and Bad Jack and Tyrone was black. Then there was Jamal, who did the fencing, and Fuzzy stops himself, looking at Ralph warily. "I ain't gonna say nothing about Jamal. He weren't in the gang proper. He weren't there the night it went bad." "It's okay, Fuzz," Ralph says. "Nobody's asking you about Jamal." "I reckon he's long gone anyhow. Might even be dead. He was older than the rest of us, except maybe Bad Jack. It's hard to tell with black people, you know." Ralph, who's black, only grunts. "But I ain't gonna say nothing about him," Fuzzy says. "Domino Gang ain't nothing if not loyal. We stick together no matter what. Take care of each other." "Have a drink," I say to Fuzzy. My watch is ticking steadily towards 2. Fuzzy drinks, wiping his mouth with the back of his hand. "He did good, though, Jamal. Got real good money for all them TVs and stuff. Even split 3 ways, it was more than what Mama made. And then after the brick, I started getting a cut, too. Mo told Mama we was working down on the farm picking strawberries after school. She said she'd come to pick, too, if the money were that good. But Mo told her no, it was hard work in the sun. She was better off staying inside. She worked at a grocery, I think. Maybe it was answering phones. Weren't much longer before she passed. There one day and gone the next. We was snatching jewelry by then, too, if something looked nice enough. And I remember Mo calling me over to see some necklaces, and he asking which one I thought Mama would like. I picked the blue one, and they put it on her to wear in the coffin. Boy, that made Bad Jack mad. Said it was too good for the likes of her. And her being dead besides. But Mo just pulled out his switchblade, and he said he'd cut Bad Jack's head off if he said one more word about Mama. I always wondered if Bad Jack went back later and dug her up to steal it again. I hope not. She deserves something nice in the end. Fuzzy sits silently, somberly, until his bowels ruin the moment. I open my mouth to remind him, but he's already raising the jug. Yeah, I know, Doc. Have a drink. Boy, this tastes like salt. You want some? It'll go faster if we share. It's not for sharing, I say with a sigh. It's medicine. You have to finish it yourself. Now, what kind of medicine's made from salt? You ever heard of such thing, Ralph? My doctor says I get too much salt, Ralph says, and Fuzzy points at me accusingly. You see, Doc? You must have made some kind of mistake. Just drink it, Fuzzy. Doc Yardley never... Oh, for the love of Christ, let me out of here, I say to Ralph. I can't take this anymore. I pace the hallway outside of Fuzzy's cell, close enough to hear his gastric distress, but far enough away that I don't have to look at him. You'd make a lousy prisoner, Ralph says. You were only in the box a couple hours. I jab my finger in Fuzzy's direction, too furious to speak. I left my medical bag lying in my path, and I nearly trip over it as I make yet another turn. I give it a solid kick, and it slides several feet away. Don't be too hard on him, Ralph says. He's had a rough day. A resounding blast from the cell punctuates the sentiment. Ralph leans over to look through the bars. You okay, Fuzz? The response, if any, is lost in the encore. I sink to the floor with my head in my hands. Why don't you head on home, Ralph says. I'll watch him, make sure he finishes that stuff. Watching him's what I'm doing anyhow. It might not be enough, I mutter. The loperamide isn't taking effect, and his ass is running like a faucet. How much did he eat? Oh, he went to town, Fuzzy did. I groan. What do you need, Doc? Would a coffee fix you up? I take off my glasses and rub my eyes. Even out here, the smell is awful. Wouldn't hurt, I say, and Ralph points me toward the canteen. I drag my medical bag after me and trudge down the hall. If only I'd left after I gave him the loperamide. At 2:45, I convince myself to return to the cell. Fuzzy's still on the can, his gut rumbling away, and he's hardly touched the rehydration solution. He looks tired, unwell. His skin is pale, and his eyes are closed. When I take his wrist to check his pulse, he comes alert with all the grace of a belly flop. What? Oh, it's just you, Doc. Thought you left. Just needed to stretch my legs. I put a bottle in his hand, a sports drink, still cold from the vending machine. Drink this. It's strawberry lemonade. I don't feel good, Doc. I'm not thirsty. You're extremely thirsty, Fuzzy. Drink this. He raises the bottle to his mouth half-heartedly, failing to realize the cap is still on. I remove it. He takes a sip. Strawberry lemonade, huh? Did you make this one too, Doc? No. Would it hurt your feelings that this one's better? No, just keep drinking it. Slowly he drains the bottle, perking up as he does. I ask Ralph to bring another. Fuzzy says, If they got any blue raspberry, I like that one best. Whatever you say, Fuzz, Ralph says. He gives me a nod. I say to Fuzzy, You still need to finish the other bottle. The salty one? Yes. It's not as good, Doc. I'm sorry about that, I say, and he cocks his head at me like he's surprised. I straighten my shirt sleeves and clear my throat. But it's medicine, and you need to take it. I'm telling you as your doctor. Fuzzy squints at me, and though he's the one handcuffed to a toilet, emitting sounds and smells no person should ever be witness to, I'm the one who can't sustain eye contact. All right, Doc, he says at length. I'll drink it. I'll do this one first before the blue raspberry. Boy, I hope Ralph can find some blue raspberry. He finishes half the remaining rehydration solution in one long chug. I have to tell him to slow down. Can't make up your mind, can you? He says, and belches. First I ain't drinking enough, now I'm drinking too much. You sound just like Bad Jack. How do you mean, I ask. I'm merely trying to keep him awake. He has a lot of rehydration still to do. Wanting it both ways. And you can't have it both ways, Doc. Bo told me that. Can't have your cake and eat it too, that's what he'd say. I never really knew what that meant. I figure what's the point in having cake if you're not going to eat it? But Mo weren't really talking about cake. He were talking about the gang. After Mama died, things really changed for the old Domino gang. They started staying with us, Bad Jack and Tyrone did. Just moved right in. I asked Tyrone about it once, and he said it was 'cause they liked us so much. I don't know that I believed it, but that's what he said. Mo wouldn't let him take our mattresses, though. He said they could sleep on the floor, piss off. I remember waking up in the night sometimes, looking across the room at Mo on his mattress. He always put it in front of the door so they wouldn't come in without his knowing. He'd just be sitting there in the dark playing with his switchblade. I remember that sound it made. It was a nice one, too, with a big, long blade and a green stone in the handle. Must have swiped it from a house. Fuzzy takes another gulp, then makes a face as he endures a particularly rude excretion. He gives me his toothless grin. Sorry about that, Doc. Excuse me a moment. He flushes the toilet and then continues. He took it real hard, Mo did, Mama's death. And Bad Jack and Tyrone moving in made him mad. He started picking fights with Bad Jack over every little thing. That's when he started talking about cake. Can't have your cake and eat it too, he'd say. Can't keep stealing TVs one at a time and make some real money. Can't pull a big job without the right equipment. He wanted guns, Mo did. Said we couldn't do big job without guns. But Bad Jack was the idea man. He didn't like Mo's idea, not one bit. See, he'd been in prison before, somewheres in Georgia. He said he weren't never going back. Keep it small time, he said. That's how you don't get caught. It'll add up, you see. But Mo didn't think it was adding up. Fuzzy takes another swig, his cheeks ballooning like a bullfrog before he swallows. That too much, Doc, or not enough? Just right, I say, and Fuzzy grins. Now I got it figured out. Always was a slow learner. At least that's what Bad Jack said. He said, even if it was a sure thing, and even if we had guns, he weren't gonna pull no big job with me. Said I was no good at thinking on my feet. I said, what about that time I threw the brick through the window, Bad Jack? And I think he would have hit me again if it wasn't for Mo. Now, Mo, he weren't ever a big guy, but then I suppose neither was Bad Jack. And even though he had smarts, Bad Jack didn't have no switchblade, but Mo did. And he flicked it open quick as lightning and held at Bad Jack's throat, and he told him that we was a package deal, me and Mo. And not only that, he was going to be making the decisions from here on out. And if Bad Jack and Tyrone didn't like it, they could split. No more of this horse shit, Mo said. He wasn't going to keep stealing TVs for the rest of his life. He was going to do one big job and get enough cash to go on to Houston. And they could be in or they could be out, but this was the last time he was going to ask. And this was the last time he wanted to hear either of them talking mean about me. He always looked out for me, Mo did. Best big brother fella could ask for. You got any kids, Doc? One, I say. Boy or girl? Girl. That's too bad, he says, and his expression is genuinely sorry. I think every family should start with a boy. That way there's always a big brother. But maybe you could still get one from the adoption place. I bet they got lots to choose from. I always wondered how that worked, if it's like going to the store and trying on pants until you find the ones you like, or maybe you gotta take a test or something. How do you reckon they do it, Doc? I massage my temples. I haven't the foggiest, Fuzzy. Foggiest what, Doc? Why don't you have a little more to drink? He takes another bullfroggy gulp. Boy, Ralph sure is taking a long time. I hope he found the blue raspberry. You like blue raspberry, Doc? Sure. I like that one best. Or watermelon. I should have told Ralph that watermelon's good, too. You ever seen a real watermelon, Doc? They don't look nothing like candy. I never would have guessed. Fuzzy releases a low, droning fart. He says, Mo wanted to work at NASA. Can you believe it? Boy, I can't think of anything worse than being blasted off into outer space. What if they don't bring you back like they were supposed to? What if you got stuck up there? I bet it's dark most of the time. I never much liked the dark. I asked Mo what I was supposed to do if he were with NASA and up in space, and he said he wasn't going to go to space. I said, then why you want to work for NASA, Mo? And he said they got people there who do other things. Like building rockets, I said. But Mo said, nah, he was going to work on the computers. I said, why you got to go to NASA to do that, Mo? Why don't we just steal one? And Mo laughed and said a computer weren't going to fit in the van. I said to Mo, I don't know nothing about computers, Mo. How am I supposed to work on them, too? And Mo said they got people there who do other things I might like better. And he said the money was real good, so that's why we was going to NASA. But NASA's a long ways away, you know. Mo showed me on a map. It don't really look that far on a map, but you gotta cross 3 whole states to get there from Florida. Takes a lot of money to travel, Mo said. And plus, he wanted to get a suit. Said it would make him look smart. Hey, Ralph, you find the blue raspberry? Sorry, Fuzzy, Ralph says, as he hands another sports drink to me through the bars. No blue raspberry, but I got you watermelon. Fuzzy beams. First finish the other one, I say, but Fuzzy's already chugging, shaking the last few drops out of the jug. He sets it down triumphantly and holds his hand out for the sports drink. I remove the cap and pass it over. Fuzzy takes a sip, smacking his lips. Boy, that's good stuff. How come I ain't never got this before, Ralph? Doc Yardley never gives me nothing to drink. You've never had the shits like this, Fuzz. I suppose that's true. You remind me next time so I don't order that cheesecake. Or maybe I ought if it means getting some of this stuff. Ralph folds his arms. I don't know if you can smell yourself anymore, but I'd take it as a personal favor if you didn't. You like that stuff so much. Just order that instead. Heck, I'll get it for you myself. Just no more cheesecake. What do you say? Fuzzy only grins. He's a good guy, ain't he? Fuzzy says to me. We known each other for what now, 15 years? 19, says Ralph. 19? Huh. Can't believe it's been that long. A lot of them guards come and go, you know. But Ralph, he stuck around. Most of mine never even known their name. I think there was one called Burns once. You remember somebody called Burns, Ralph? Ralph shakes his head. Maybe it was something else. I remember him, though. Boy, he was big. I was scared of him, 'cause he had this scar on his face that made it so his mouth don't shut. He was always walking around looking like this. Fuzzy curls his lip up on one side and sneers. I expect it would look more frightening on someone with all their teeth. He weren't much of a talker, Fuzzy says. Most of 'em really don't talk, except to tell you something. Most of the time they was telling me to shut up. Even my lawyers get tired of listening to me, and I had plenty of them over the years. You've been in prison as long as I have, I suppose that's how it goes. We had the same lawyer at first, me and Bad Jack, since we was together when we got pinched. But then, somewheres down the line, he got somebody new. And then the first one quit, or maybe he's the one who died. But I had a whole bunch of 'em since, and they all tell me the same thing. They're gonna get me out of here. But they couldn't do it, not a one of 'em. I said it's not their fault. I did it, didn't I? But they kept saying that thing about the men. How's it go again, Ralph? Mens rea, Ralph says. That's the one. I figured it had to do with me still being in school age when we got pinched. So I wasn't really man yet, you know. But that ain't what it means. My new lawyer, Mr. Jim, he explained it to me again, but I can't remember it any more than I remember astral projection. He got 2 kids now, Mr. Jim does. He got a girl like you, Doc, but he had the boy first. That's the way to do it, if you ask me. Everybody ought to have Big Brother. Fuzzy sips his watermelon drink. Ralph stifles a yawn. I check the time. It's nearly 5 a.m. What happened, Fuzzy? I ask. What happened on the way to NASA? Fuzzy sips again from his watermelon drink. He shifts to the left as he passes gas. He says, They ain't told you about me, Doc? I feel my neck flush beneath my collar. I only had a few minutes with your medical file, and there certainly wouldn't be. He holds up a hand. I ain't accusing you nothing, Doc. Just surprised is all. For a while there, it seemed like it was all anybody could talk about. But I suppose that was a long time ago. Lots happened in the world since. Did you know we had a black president? Had him twice, wasn't it, Ralph? Boy, that never would have happened back in my day. I always wondered Bad Jack knew. Seems like I remember him wanting to be president, too. Or maybe he meant president of something else. But then I gotta wonder, Doc, if you ain't mad at me for what I did, then why was you so mean to me? He looks at me, waiting for an answer. I haven't got one. I wish again that I'd left after I gave him the loperamide, if only because it would have spared me from this moment. Vomit and flatulence and diarrhea aside, this is, without a doubt, the most uncomfortable I've been all night. I'm sorry, Fuzzy, I say at last. There was no call for my behavior. I should have had more patience. Fuzzy tilts his head. You reckon that would have helped, Doc? Having more patience? I'd have thought it'd be even harder having more people being sick, but he lets out a high-pitched laugh, which is interrupted by a high-pitched fart. He laughs again. Oh, say, that's a good one, Doc. I get it now. Patience and patience. I gotta remember that for Doc Yardley. Hey, Ralph, you ever heard the one about the zebra? About him asking God whether he was white with black stripes or black with white stripes? Now, how did that go again? I wait restlessly for him to piece together his train of thought, and when he's still silent after a few minutes, I say, "You were telling me what happened on the way to NASA, Fuzzy." "Was I? Sorry, Doc, I must have forgot. What was I saying?" "You and Mo, Fuzzy. You were going to go to NASA, but you first needed money. Yeah, I remember now. For the trip, and for Mo's suit. He thought it'd impress him, if he had a suit. So we needed the money. We need to get a big job to get it. He had the job all figured, said it would be a cinch. We was gonna hit Big Steve's soundtracks and stereos. They sold more than just stereos, of course. They had TVs and electric vacuums and cameras, too. But they was expecting a big shipment of brand new stereos, and we was gonna make off with that. But first Mo said we needed the guns. I remember I said to Mo, "What are we gonna need the guns for, Mo? We just gonna bust in at night when there ain't nobody there." But Mo said we needed 'em. And he knew best, didn't he? It were his idea, after all. So one night, we all got in the van. Mo drove down to the Sears and Roebuck, and Tyrone got to work getting us in. He was a real whiz, Tyrone, real smart with all them electronics, and he could jimmy open any door you wanted. Had this little pouch full of tools he kept in his pocket all the time. I asked him once if he could show me how he did it, but he pretended like he didn't hear. Tyrone weren't really mean, He just weren't no good at sharing. Once we was inside, Mo showed us all where the guns were, and Tyrone got to work there, too. Mo knew where they was 'cause he'd already been at the Sayers and Roebuck during the daytime scoping it out. That's how he knew there weren't no security neither. At least not any guards. Hey, Ralph, you know why Sears and Roebuck never had no security guards? They got lots of good stuff in there. No idea, Fuzzy, Ralph says. That was a long time ago. They got lots of good stuff in there, Fuzzy says to me. Clothes and shoes and jewelry and such. They had a bunch of electronics, too. I said to Mo, "Hey, Mo, why don't we just take these electronics instead of the ones from Big Steve?" But Mo said that weren't the plan. It was important we stick to the plan, he said. But boy, they have some good stuff. I was looking around, just seeing what they had while we was waiting on Tyrone. I could have used some new shoes or maybe a new jacket or something. But then I saw the perfume counter. You ever seen a perfume counter, Doc? I couldn't stop looking at it. All them little bottles, and they was all lit up. Looked so pretty. I figured they was meant for women, but then what's the harm in just smelling? I never smelled a woman before. Fuzzy takes a sip of his watermelon drink, shaking his head mournfully. I just thought it was stuck, Doc. I didn't mean to break it. I just thought the door was stuck. But next thing I know, the glass is broke, and the alarm's going off, and Bad Jack is yelling. And then I was yelling, too, for Tyrone to make it stop. And that's when I saw Mo's face. I knew I'd done it then, Doc. I knew I messed up bad. Mo started yelling for Tyrone and Bad Jack to grab the guns, and he yelled for me to go out and start the van. So that's what I did, and that's when I heard them police sirens. Boy, they sure came fast, Doc. Didn't know they could come so fast. I left the van running, and I went lickety-split back inside, and I told them, "You gotta hurry up, fellas, the police is almost here." And we all went running outside together. They was just pulling up, the police officers, and they seen what we got. They started yelling, too, saying for us to drop the weapons, put 'em up, all that police stuff. You ever seen the police in real life, Doc? They're scary on TV. Boy, I was scared. I could have shit a brick. Fuzzy pauses as he shits something significantly less substantial, then reaches over his shoulder to flush the toilet. I didn't have no gun, he says, on account of I went to start the van, so I didn't have nothing to drop. I just put my hands up like this and started screaming, "Don't shoot! Don't shoot!" Fuzzy reaches for the ceiling, his sports drink sloshing. Tyrone, he put his guns down right away, and Bad Jack, he was so busy yelling I don't think he even heard what he was supposed to do. But Mo, he just stood there staring at the police, and he was holding the gun too. They was yelling for him to put it down, and I was saying too, "Put it down, Mo, put it down," 'cause they was aiming for him. but he wouldn't put it down. And then they started shooting. Fuzzy's eyes go hard, his hand tightening around the bottled sports drink, his toothless mouth working up and down. Remember it like it were yesterday. Nobody ain't never believed me, but I was there, and I still remember just the way it happened. They shot at him first, they did. The police, they shot at him first, so when Mo shot back, it were only in self-defense. He was just protecting himself, and me besides, 'cause I didn't have no gun. There was 2 cops. I remember. Mo shot the one who was on the left. The other one was hiding behind the door. You know, the door of the car. And he shot Mo before Mo could get him. I remember Mo falling to the ground, and I remember shaking his shoulders and slapping him in the head, but he wouldn't get up. That cop killed him, he did. He killed my brother. He was still shooting that cop, and now Tyrone, he was shooting back. He'd picked up one of the guns he put down, he was shooting at the cop. But the cop got him too, and then it was just me and Bad Jack. I saw Bad Jack run for the van, which was sort of in between us and the cop, you know, so I ran for it too. Bad Jack was screaming about never going back to prison, and he was shooting at the cop too. But that cop boy, he must have been lucky or something, 'cause Bad Jack couldn't hit him neither. But he was still shooting at us, and Bad Jack was busy shooting back, and so I was the one who was driving. I weren't really a good driver, didn't have no permit or nothing, but we was in a pinch, so I did my best. That's when the cop came out of his hiding spot shooting at the van, and I just turned the wheel and went for him, knocked him right down. Bad Jack was yelling for me to hit him again, so that's what I did. Ran him over again and again till his guts was spilled out and his head was popped like a grape. I was so busy running him over that I didn't even see the other cops, not till we was surrounded, and by then it was too late. We was caught. Fuzzy farts for a good 20 seconds, wrinkling his nose. It just keeps coming, don't it? Sorry about all this, Doc. I weren't expecting to be around for this part. I'm still reconciling shootouts and heads like popped grapes with the man I see before me. It's a moment before I register what he said. What do you mean you weren't expecting to be around? He cocks his head at me. Ain't you know? This is death row. Well, sure, I suppose, but say, Doc, is it true that you can still break wind, even after you're dead? Boy, wouldn't that be something? How long after, do you reckon? You think it's just for a little while, or does it last? I bolt off the cot, hastening for the cell door. Let me out of here, I say, my voice straining. Please, just let me out. Ralph brings me a sports drink from the vending machine. Watermelon. I sit in the hallway with my back against the wall. They didn't tell you, Ralph says. He takes the cap off and hands me the bottle. I can't even look at it. I push it away. He knew it was coming, Ralph says. He's been waiting to die for most of his life. But he's afraid of needles, I say, as if that means anything. Ralph nods. That's why he's going in Old Sparky. I bury my face in my hands. Jesus Christ. Lucked out tonight, he did, Ralph says. Got a last-minute stay. Bad Jack was up first, and something went wrong. That's why Doc Yardley's tied up. Fuzzy'll probably get another few months out of it before the death warrant comes through again. Get another last meal out of it, too. He was really looking forward to it the first time around. All he talked about for weeks. I can only shake my head. I've been awake all night, and right now it all just seems like too much. Ralph leans against the wall beside me. You're a young fella, Doc, still new to the game, I expect. You can't save them all, I mutter. But Ralph sort of huffs. I look up. He says, you can't look at it as either or, because it's not. It's both, and it always will be. You get it? No, I mutter. Ralph chuckles. You will, son. Now, if you aren't going to drink that, I know somebody who will. Ralph lets me back into the cell, and I give Fuzzy the drink. His face lights up. Boy, this is my lucky day. Thanks, Doc. He slurps back half of it and wipes his mouth. Hey, Doc, I just realized that I never even asked you your name. Fuzzy looks at me expectantly. His lips are tinged pink from the coloring in the drinks. He cracks a smile, revealing 5 rosy teeth. It's Evergreen, I say. My name is Evergreen. Fuzzy sets down the sports drink and sticks out his hand. After a moment's consideration, I shake it. Well, I sure am pleased to meet you, Doc Evergreen. Say, I forgot to ask you earlier, but I got this tickle in my throat and I heard something about a virus. I'm sure it's nothing to be concerned about, I say, but when his face falls, I unlatch my bag. Of course, I'd be happy to take a look. Thanks, Doc. I sure appreciate it. Hey, I just remember the rest of that joke. Hey, Ralph, you want to hear the one about the zebra? Go ahead, Fuzz, Ralph says with a smile. Fuzzy turns to me. So, the zebra, he's not sure which one he is, if he's the white with the black stripes or if he's black with white stripes. So he asks his friend. I can't remember what the friend is. I think he's a hippo or maybe lion. But it don't really matter, I don't think. But the hippo don't know either, so he tells the zebra to climb up the mountain and ask God. Hippo's waiting at the bottom of the mountain for him. When the zebra comes down, he asks, so what did God say? And zebra tells him, God just said, you are what you are. And the poor zebra's still looking confused. That must mean you're white with black stripes, the hippo says. And the zebra says, well, how do you know that? And the hippo says, 'cause if you was black with white stripes, God would have told you, you is what you is. Fuzzy slaps his knee, laughing so hard his eyes are watering. You get it, Doc? You get it, Doc? Boy, it's a good thing I never told that to Bad Jack. He'd have knocked the rest of my teeth out. He pounds his leg, doubling over, laughing hysterically. Ralph starts to chuckle. Before I know it, I'm laughing too. You get it, Doc? Fuzzy manages between gasps. You get it? I locate my otoscope and snap on a fresh tip. My own eyes are watering. I can't help but smile. Yes, Fuzzy, I believe I do. Discussion questions. 1. Fuzzy is made out to be a likable character who killed a police officer when he was underage. Does any of that matter regarding his punishment? Should he have gotten the death penalty, life in prison, or some other punishment? 2. Given his upbringing and the influence of his surroundings and his brother Mo, did Fuzzy have any real choices in life that could have led him on another path? Does that matter regarding his punishment? 3. Should a, quote, cop killer ever be treated with respect and dignity? Can a person commit a crime so terrible that they are never worthy of respect and dignity? 4. Does the relative level of education of Fuzzy have any bearing on his culpability in the crimes and death he committed? What would have been required to turn the Domino Gang around to useful members of society? 5. What is the purpose of the judicial system? To punish? To deter? Or to reform? Do different variations in crime and age require different answers to the previous question? Or is the answer always the same? What do you think? Let's continue the discussion on our companion podcast, After Dinner Conversation Discussions, and in the comments section on our website or on Facebook. Links are in the description. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to hear from you soon.